So welcome to a video that I feel like warrants a face cam, and it's the Doomsday cast live stream that they did today. It went on for like 5 or 6 hours. I had it on in the background on an open tab and would just like tune in every single time the music played on it. But I wanted to sit down and have like an actual face-to-face discussion. I don't usually throw webcam on like videos like this. I would just make this little presentation and then just talk about it. But I thought it would be a little bit cooler if it felt like we were actually having the conversation back and forth. So I'm going to go through every single character that they announced, what I thought of the announcement, the live stream in general, which was a really, really weird live stream, I won't lie. It was a very strange way to announce all these castings, and what I feel like these castings mean for not only Doomsday but Secret Wars, because let's be real, it's not about Doomsday. It is about Secret Wars. Doomsday is just like the precursor. It is just the prologue of what will be Secret Wars, and I think that is what we have to be looking forward to. So I'm going to go through, like I said, every single person that was announced. I'm going to go through their characters or their presumed characters. You know, just give my thoughts on them being included, them being name dropped here, the people that weren't included, and what I feel like Doomsday is going to be in terms of the actual film based off of these casting announcements, how they relate to the comics, that kind of thing, the previous films, blah, 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 blah. So let's go ahead with the first set of people. We got Thor, we got Invisible Woman, we got Captain America, and we got Winter Soldier. It's weird that they opened with Thor, but we'd already seen Chris Hemsworth on set, so like there were already leaks of him on there. It's not really that big of a deal, you know, that he's back, I guess. Are we gonna get a fifth Thor film? Maybe. Do I want one? Not really. We then had Invisible Woman. Now, they scattered the Fantastic Four throughout this announcement, which I thought was really weird. But she's included here in the sort of main bulk of our Avengers team. And I'm kind of curious as to whether or not the positioning of these characters hints at something. Is there a reason for the order that they announced them in? I don't really know. But we also got Captain America, Winter Soldier. I think we knew that obviously Captain America was going to come back. We kind of expected that. We need somebody to lead our Avengers into Doomsday head first. And Anthony Mackie's Sam Wilson was set up perfectly to do that with Cap 4. Winter Soldier, I am a little bit surprised by. We're seeing Winter Soldier next month, I believe, depending on when this goes out, which it should go out straight away, in just over a month. Let's just say in just over a month. And he's kind of been a little bit AWOL. We've not really seen him since the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. So I'm interested to see how he goes from his position in the Thunderbolts to being thrown into the Avengers again. But again, top billing. They got top billing out of everyone, or the worst billing, depending on how you want to look at it. So I'm very intrigued to see how this goes. Then we had the next set of people. Now, this is the most intriguing set for me, or at least it was, like, in terms of the early announcements. So we got Shuri, and we got Ant-Man. I was expecting both of them. We didn't get any of Ant-Man's family. We didn't get Stature. We didn't get Hank or Janet. We didn't get... We never got Hope. You know, Wasp hasn't been confirmed for the film, which I thought was kind of strange, but her character hasn't ever really, like, properly connected with audiences, I don't feel. She comes off as, like, very cold. So I'm not massively surprised, but I was kind of expecting like Ant-Man and Wasp to go in hand. We got Namor, or Namor, which is probably the one that I'm most excited about, because I really liked Namor in Black Panther 2, and I really like him in the Hickman New Avengers run, where he's part of the Illuminati, and his whole point is just to antagonize Black Panther the entire time and to kind of like cause some chaos. But I'm curious, with Namor in particular coming back for Doomsday and getting pretty high billing next to the rest of our already established Avengers, does this mean that we're getting the Illuminati? Now, there is a key member of the Illuminati missing out of this casting announcement that I want to revert back to, but the Illuminati are going to be popping up throughout this as we go. We also got US Agent, which Wyatt Russell getting confirmed really early on was a real curveball, and I think a lot of people turned off when seeing that, which is a bit of a shame because it got a lot better, but it was very weird. And of course, Shuri, I don't know how to feel about Shuri because they kind of, like, her character arc in Black Panther 2 was like, oh, I'm forced to take up the mantle, I don't want the mantle, right, I'm going to take up the mantle to fight Namor, and then at the end of it, I don't want the mantle. So she didn't really have much of a character arc. So, but there's another character that pops up a little bit later that I am very excited for, that I'm hoping is kind of the reason that Shuri is here. So, we got The Thing. We got our second confirmed Fantastic Four member popping up here, just scattered in there, because why not? Shang-Chi. Finally, we're getting Shang-Chi back before he gets a sequel, weirdly enough. I think that means that Doomsday is not going to air in China, which they don't need the Chinese money, because we know that No Way Home made a boat ton of cash. I'm pretty certain there's like a whole thing at the moment because of Simu Liu that Marvel films aren't releasing in China. But yeah, No Way Home made a heap without the China box office. So, but I would assume that means that Doomsday isn't going to be releasing. I don't know whether or not they've resolved that. Did Cap 4 release in China? Is Thunderbolts? I don't know. But Yelena makes it out of Thunderbolts alive. Now, this is the curious and interesting thing, is that they've kind of spoiled some of Thunderbolts. And I was somewhat told that, I was told in a nice way that I was silly for thinking that Thunderbolts might have some sort of long-lasting effect, but it is made up of a lot of throwaway characters that could get murdered and killed off by a certain meta-human superhero during the climax of that film. But apparently not a lot of them, if any, because US Agent and Yelena are back and we're going to see more Thunderbolts in this film. Now, the big one that really, like, established that we were getting some reveals here was Beast. The return of Beast, Kelsey Grammer, returning as Beast. A lot of people freaked out over this and was like, yeah, we're getting some X-Men. And rightly so, because it just got better and better and better as we kept on going. Not yet, though. We had a little bit of a break in the good stuff, because we got the confirmation of Falcon, Sentry, Johnny Storm, Red Guardian, M'Baku, and Ghost. Now, this is a weird, like, mishmash bunch. Again, we're throwing another Fantastic Four member in there. As soon as you confirm one Marvel, we know that the rest of them are going to be there. It's not rocket science. M'Baku. Holy shit, make him Black Panther, please. I really hope that the whole reason he's in this film is that either Shuri gets taken out in some way, or she's there to pass on the mantle and give her consent to him becoming Black Panther. Because he is a beast. I would love for him to be the Black Panther of the Avengers. I think he would be sick. We got the return of Falcon. I really enjoyed Falcon in Cap 4. I really like the new Falcon. I think he's sick. I'm happy that he's back. Red Guardian. I would have put money on Red Guardian not making it out of Thunderbolts. So I'm a little bit upset that he's here. Not entirely upset, but I don't understand why we need so many Thunderbolts in Doomsday. It's a really weird decision. We've also got, obviously, Sentry. Sentry was also, like, a bit of a strange one, because it wouldn't have surprised me if they either killed off Sentry at the end of Thunderbolts so that they don't have to deal with how overpowered he is, or if they at least benched him so that there was some reason that he was out of action and not present. But no, it seems like whatever happens in Thunderbolts gets resolved. and everyone is just gonna walk away fine because Ghost is here too. I didn't really have like money on Ghost getting killed or anything in Thunderbolts, but I thought that maybe she would have just been sidelined and pushed aside, and that film would have served as like a nice little ending for her character, but apparently she's sticking around. Next up, before we get to the big boys, we've got Loki. Now, I've got a theory about Loki. For anybody that's read the 2015 Hickman run of Secret Wars, in that, Doom is holding together Latverion, or Battleworld, with Molecule Man in the center, right? And he goes down to visit Molecule Man. Molecule Man's like, no, I don't fully get it because I haven't read the full build up to it just yet. I'm getting there, but from what I can tell, he's like the heart of Battleworld, and I have a feeling that that is going to be Loki. That is my theory for this, because Loki has been established as being the one to hold everything together right now. He's like become the god of stories because he's holding the multiverse together. And I believe he's going to be repurposed into Doom's Battleworld in place of Molecule Man. Because we don't have a Molecule Man. They haven't really built him up. I'm fairly certain he's a mutant. Maybe. But he's not here. And this is the most logical way, in my opinion, to bring Loki back into play in a big way. Have him very, very important. I'm very excited for it. I think we're going to get some sort of like Loki Doom showdown in Doomsday, with Doom coming out on top, and therefore repurposing Loki moving forward as being like the heart of his battle world during Secret Wars. That's my theory for it. That's why I included the little Molecule Man panel there. Next up, these are the big ones. So, Professor X, specifically played by Patrick Stewart. So, they made a point of not only bringing back Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, James Marsden, chuffing Rebecca Romaine, Alan Cumming, who I forgot to add a picture of. There was a gap there waiting for him and I completely forgot. But Gambit as well is being thrown in there, which is crazy. Now, I thought that maybe this was the original trilogy canon being brought in, but I don't think it is. I don't think that they're touching that canon trilogy. I think it's just the actors coming in to play variants of those characters. Because we had Patrick Stewart do the same thing with Professor X in Doctor Strange 2, where the picture is from, where he played like the classic cartoon version with the big yellow wheelchair. And of course, Channing Tatum was never part of the original trilogy. So I think they're going to be playing, I think we're going to get Rebecca Romaine in like, you know, the white and blue, I think it's white and blue, but like mostly white outfit. From the comics, I think we're getting James Marsden in like the classic blue and yellow Cyclops outfit, Magneto in the red. I think we're going full comic book canon with these characters, but it's going to be these actors, basically. And my theory, which we will get onto in a little bit more in-depth later on, is that there are going to be two main point of views throughout Doomsday. There's going to be the 616 point of view and the Foxverse point of view. But like I said, we'll get onto that in a minute. So next up, and he got huge billing, or worst billing. Again, it depends on how you want to look at it. Pedro Pascal. We haven't even seen him, like, use his stretching abilities yet. And he's basically gonna be, it seems like, the lead of Doomsday. From everything that they've set up, everything they've told us, what we already know about Secret Wars and how important Reed Richards is as a character, the positioning of Fantastic Four's release so close to Doomsday and Secret Wars, it seems like Reed Richards is going to be a lead in this film. They're going in hard with Pedro Pascal. And rightly so. I think he's going to be fantastic as Reed Richards. I know that he's got a lot of doubters, and a lot of people aren't really happy with his casting. I personally think he's brilliant, and I cannot wait. But yeah, he got really high billing. Of course, not higher than the man himself, Robert Downey Jr., who ended our live stream by opening the door, walking all the way down the row of chairs, and sitting down in his chair. And of course, doing the shh, because we don't want no leaks or spoilers. It's okay with theories, but we don't want no leaks or spoilers. Please, for the love of God, stop spoiling these films. It really, really is upsetting when shit gets spoiled. And that's what I think that is for, because they did something similar around Endgame, especially when they were like doing the marketing for Far From Home. They were saying, keep your trap shut, don't spoil it for people. There is a lot of fun to be had out of not spoiling it, believe it or not. It's a shame that we've kind of evolved into like this rage-baity, spoilering kind of like online culture. I think we kind of need to reel it back a little bit. But yeah, of course, RDJ, he's playing Doom. He's playing, in my opinion, from how he looks there, which they're going into production. I don't know whether or not this was filmed recently. I would assume that it was, in terms of like, you know, how signing on people for contracts and stuff works. He looks like Tony Stark there. So I think the rumors about him being a Tony Stark variant are in fact true. Despite what the Russos might want to tell us. But anyway, so who wasn't there? Who wasn't there? Well, none of the Hulks were there. Bruce Banner or Jennifer. Neither of them were there, which I was really, really surprised, because there's been reports coming out saying that She-Hulk is going to have a huge role in Doomsday. I mean, unless it's being kept secret, which I don't really know why they would keep it a secret if they're now announcing X-Men. But yeah, no Tatiana Maslany, which is a real shame, because I was really hoping... There's been quite a lot of talk lately online, especially with like the reports of her returning for Doomsday and Secret Wars and stuff. There's been a lot of I want to say slander towards her abilities as an actor. And anybody that's watched Orphan Black knows that that is bullshit. Tatiana Maslany is like one of the best actors that the MCU has ever got. And I'm like 100% deadly serious about it. She was just given shit material to work with. So I really do hope that she is going to be back and they put some budget into that CGI to make her look good. Redeem her. Please. Also, Storm wasn't in there. There was only one female X-Man. So I'm assuming maybe we're going to get some extra surprises. Is Binary going to show up? You know, Photon? Rogue? I don't know. But I thought it was weird that we only got Mystique. Scarlet Witch. It's a weird one, because initially there were a lot of reports saying that she's there. She's appearing in TVA comics that are canon. And then all of a sudden, boom, she's not here. And it's very, very weird. And I have a feeling, I'm hoping that Marvel have acknowledged how big of a fandom that Scarlet Witch has got, because coming out of Endgame, Scarlet Witch has one of the strongest, most vocal, most passionate fandoms out of any Marvel character. Like, her fandom is insane. And I think rightly so, because she's a very, very cool character and she's very underrated, especially in the MCU. So, I mean, she's one of the only core characters that doesn't have a solo film at this point. It's weird. But considering they introduced Wiccan and Speed, I find it highly unlikely that she's not going to appear in Doomsday. I think it is being kept a secret and they're just making people wait. They need to have some surprises for this film. But that leads me straight on to the Young Avengers. There was no Catherine Hahn. There was no Joe Locke. There was no Paul Bettany for Vision. Haley Steinfeld, Iman Vellani, Catherine Newton. There was like no Young Avengers at all. In fact, anybody that was on like a Disney Plus, it seems like anybody that got a Disney Plus show that wasn't kind of connected to a film, so, you know, obviously like your Falcon and the Winter Soldiers don't count. But and like your Loki's probably the only one. Loki's probably the only one, but a lot of Disney Plus characters are not appearing, it seems, in this film, unless they are going to be cameos, you know, not really prominently featured. Maybe they're not going to be included on the press tours and stuff. I don't know, but a lot of them weren't featured here, which again, it's a real shame because Agatha All Along was great. Daredevil currently airing, and it's great. Like, was Daredevil's personal trainer Charlie Cox's personal trainer wrong, and he's not appearing in Doomsday, or are they trying to keep it a surprise? I think they might be trying to keep that one a surprise. I think he will be in Doomsday. But it's very, very weird that all of the Disney Plus characters aren't showing up, like no Moon Knight. It's a strange one. Also, it was heavily reported that Chris Evans and possibly Scarlett Johansson, but definitely Chris Evans is in this film. I think that they're doing their best to just kind of brush that under the rug and try and hope that the internet forgets that he's going to be in this film. Because I know for certain myself, when I get to the theatre, if I haven't heard about Chris Evans in like 2 or 3 months prior to going to see Doomsday, I'm going to have forgotten that he's meant to be in the film. So I really hope that they don't bring him up and that they keep him on the sidelines so that I could forget. And then we've got the McAvoy Avengers, the McAvoy X-Men. The McAvoy X-Men not being mentioned at all is a strange one. I thought that we might have got at least James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender announced here. But if they're not going to be here, I'm curious as to whether they're going to show up in Secret Wars at all, or if they're just going to get pushed aside and kind of like forgotten, basically, because they're a branching different timeline. Again, I think the X-Men that we've got announced so far, I think they're going to be playing different versions of those characters. We also got no Doctor Strange, which Benedict Cumberbatch has been playing a weird game of yes and no. 1 minute he was in Doomsday, the next minute he was in Secret Wars, the next minute he was not in either of them, then he was just in Doomsday instead of Secret Wars, and now he's not in any of them. So I don't know what he's in anymore. He might not be in anything. Apparently him and Clea, I think her name is, apparently both of them are meant to be in Doomsday. I think Doctor Strange is in Doomsday, but I just think he's going to be playing a very small role. We've seen the concept art of him in Secret Wars as Sheriff Strange, so I'm going to assume that he is in Doomsday, and this is just yet another thing that they are trying to keep secret. I'd also like to point out at this point that we have all members of the Illuminati present in this film from Hickman's New Avengers run, which, for those that aren't certain, the Hickman New Avengers run explored a lot to do with incursions, which is like the main thing of the build-up to Battleworld and Secret Wars. And I believe we've already had our first incursion, and it was in the least watched Marvel film, ironically enough, The Marvels. So for anybody that did decide to watch The Marvels, we saw 2 universes colliding, and we saw Monica Rambeau pass over from one into another. That is exactly what happens in the comics in the New Avengers run. They are able to go on to a different multiverses version of Earth. So I believe we've had an incursion. I believe that incursions are happening for whatever reason already. And that was either the first one, or maybe it was, you know, one down the line. And we're going to see ones that take place before, or we've had them already and we haven't even known. Maybe No Way Home was part of an incursion. Who knows? But in the comics, it is really, really essential, especially if they're adapting the 2015 one, that we see some incursions. And that not only that, but the incursions are explained. Now, I think they're going to be explained in the Fantastic Four film, because we get to see Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards basically explaining the universe on his big chalkboard. That big chalkboard that he can like stretch his arm along. I think that is him figuring out incursions. And in Doomsday, he's going to explain that to the rest of the Avengers, very similar to how he does in the new Avengers when he explains it to the Illuminati. But for those that don't know, the Illuminati consists of initially Professor X, but he's then killed and replaced by Beast. You've got Namor, you've got Black Panther, you've got Iron Man, you've got Doctor Strange, and I think that's it. I think it's enough to fill up your Infinity Stones, which is like 5 or 6, right? So I think we're going to get some version of the Illuminati, and there were rumours that the original end credit scene for Cap 4 was meant to be the Illuminati inviting Sam Wilson to join them. So I think the Illuminati are formed. We're going to see them in Doomsday. There's going to be some conflict between Black Panther, Shuri, and Namor, just like there is in the comics with Black Panther and Namor being on the Illuminati together. And I think that they are going to be operating. We've got all of these different factions coming together. You've got the Thunderbolts / Dark Avengers. You've got the regular Avengers. You've got the Illuminati. You've got the Fantastic Four. You've got the X-Men. And you've got Doom. And they all need to come together. Now, I think that whatever is going on here, it's going to involve two universes, two primary universes colliding. You've got the 616 in the form of the MCU, and you've got what will be the equivalent to the Ultimate Universe, which will be like the Foxverse. I think that there's going to be other stuff thrown in there to mix things up. Nostalgia. Let's bring back the Spider-Man, because why not? Let's bring in some Sony people, because why not? And let's mix them all up together. Let's bring in the Maker. Why not? But yeah, I'm really excited for this. Is this the end of my presentation? It is. It's the end of my presentation. I wanted to end with the incursions. But yeah, it was a really, really weird reveal. I hope that they don't do anything like this again. I mean, they did a short version of it that was like 1 minute and 50 seconds long. They could have just released that, and it would have had the exact same impact. The only reason that I think that they did it the way that they did it is to make sure that it was trending pretty much all day, because it was a 6 or 7 hour long live stream. But yeah, there were a lot of characters here that I was quite excited to see. It sort of went from like Namor into the X-Men and then kind of like fizzled out as I realized a lot of my favorite characters weren't going to be in it, like Wiccan and like Hawkeye and stuff. So what did you think of it? What do you reckon? I enjoyed this whole sort of like process and the chatter around it and stuff. I kind of like that it felt like everyone came together to have this discussion about it, regardless of whether or not like you enjoyed it. And I thought that that was good, and I like that they have sort of silenced some questions about some of the casting and stuff. Bring on the set leaks, I guess. Bring on the set leaks. I mean, we knew that Endgame was about time travel before that released. I really hope that there aren't any plot leaks. That's going to really, really suck if there are plot leaks. But yeah. God. What a live stream. What a live stream. I really hope that Doomsday and Secret Wars are good. I really do. But yeah, I'm going to keep on covering stuff on the channel. I have reaction videos planned over the next few weeks. I'm also starting a new job pretty soon, so things are going to be a little bit weird in terms of me settling into my new job and also trying to balance content. But I'm going to try my best with it. I also have a load of comics to read up on. I also have a lot of comics to catch up on. So I'm trying. But I hope you enjoyed this little chit chat. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.